So. Not here. Huh? We want to do this for more presentation. I love it. Yeah. You guys want me to share? Like share on the screen? Yeah. So we just email it to you. Yeah, just email. Yeah, go ahead. You know, I think guys want to take up. You need a snap. With the same recipe. Yes. It's crazy. Sometimes you would figure, why am I gonna look for Thanksgiving for food and all that and How's everyone doing? Post-election. Everyone okay? Everyone right? Okay. Good. Yeah, we're like half. Well, Alex is the only one who emailed me. So, Alex. So, yes, we have next week and then the week of Thanksgiving, we don't have class. And then, yeah, last week is unit. Well, I'm having this. Yeah, so are you registered for 355? Mine. They just opened like. Oh, it wasn't open. No, remember that we were trying? Was. Are they sent it or they're supposed to be? I think it's not. It does not. Yeah. All right, well, it's 4:17. So we'll just, get this party started. And hopefully others will come and join us. I'm sorry, don't tell that one. All right, so, the classical research is of pizza. So it's a preschool.
The standard is recognizing mean common 2 and 3-dimensional shapes and display some of the attributes, number of size, history, or curved lines. The objective is students will create pieces using multiple 3-dimensional shapes. The students can name these attributes of common 2-dimensional shapes by making them data, and the student will be able to trace the shapes given another piece of worksheets.
So some of the materials that we needed for this presentation are the book that we're going to read, Play-Doh, the tools, and then we have pizza printouts. We have markers instead of pencils or crayons.
Okay, so we're gonna start the lesson showing a video.
Working, we click on it. Yes, it was something like that.
Yes, that's okay. Really healthy. So. Okay, so as you can see, we have 3 different stations. So it will be the worksheets with the shapes and the Play-Doh and the book. So each table has 3 activities that we're going to be doing with the students, and the activity one will be less than 5-minute book. Also, we have the students in Spanish, so I already, because I was going to start talking in Spanish, but then it's like, no people in Spanish, so now then you guys are here, because I'm translating. Oh, yeah, because it's a circle time, so if you guys can come a little bit closer. Circle. You know.
Yeah. So we can see here? Yeah. So the book we are going to read today is Pizza Salaries by Monica Larson.
So vamos a leer un libro que se llama Pizza, el Gonzalo por Mónica.
Sally, the pizza maker, grows tomatoes in her community garden. These tomatoes are for
Sally, la muchacha que hace la pizza, hace crecer los tomates en su comunidad, en el jardín de su comunidad en la ciudad, y estos tomates son para pizza.
wheat grown on farms far away is milled into flour and delivered to Sally's pizzeria. This flour is for pizza.
La parte integral de la pizza se hace a muchas millas de aquí Se convierte en la harina y la mandan a la pizzería de Sally. Esta harina es para hacer pizza.
Milk is made into cheese and sold in the shop next door. This cheese is for pizza.
La leche se convierte en queso y la añaden en la tienda de al lado. El queso es para la pizza.
Sally opens her pizzeria in the morning. Hungry customers will be arriving soon. Orders will be coming in over the phone, but now it's time to make pizza.
Sally abre la pizzería en la mañana. Hambrientos clientes vienen rápido a ordenar la pizza por el teléfono. Ahora es hora de hacer la pizza.
Cut, chop, stir, and simmer. There are good cooking smells in the air. Sally makes her
Corta, muela y estos son muy buenos ingredientes para hacerlos. Ya están oliendo de la qué rica la salsa de tomate.
measure and mix with water and yeast. Sally starts the dough with her famous pizza crust.
Mezcla con agua y con yema para que Sally empiece a hacer la pizza famosa.
Push, pull, punch, and pound. She kneads her stretchy dough and leaves it to rise.
Jálala, empújala, muévela para que empiece a hacer la forma de lo que quieres y sentar.
The dough is just right. Sally rolls it and folds it and rolls it again. Whoosh. She twirls it up into the air.
La masa ya está lista, está perfecta. Ahora ella la dobla, la tira y la manda en el aire.
Now everything is ready to put together. First comes the pizza dough, then the tomato sauce, then freshly grated cheese is sprinkled on top. Perfect.
Ya todo está listo, ahora todos los ingredientes, ahora viene la masa, luego viene la salsa de tomate y después ponemos el queso. Perfecto.
Sally slides her pizza into the hot oven. The pizzeria smells delicious as pizza bakes.
Sal y pone la pizza dentro del horno. Ya huele delicioso.
Out it comes, bubbling and hot. Quick, slice up the pizza and it's ready to eat.
Listo, ya está. Está grande y está lista para cortarse.
Pop the pizza into a box. Some customers take theirs home to eat, some have it delivered.
Mete la pizza dentro de una caja para repartirla o algunos de los.
But eating pizza right here at Sally's Pizzeria is the best of all.
Pero comer la pizza aquí donde sale es lo mejor de todo.
The busy day is over and the last customers have gone. Now Sally and her little helper can relax and slice themselves. How yummy.
El día ocupado ya acabó. Ahora Sally y su pequeño ayudante pueden relajarse y comer una pizza para ellos. Qué rico.
Yeah.
So this is the first activity. We're working like the Spanish speakers. The second activity is really will be able to compare making pizza as real life example of the lesson context. Children will be able to recognize how shapes are included in the daily activities, and we will then see them with clean. So for the second activity, we're gonna start. You guys can start opening up potatoes.
Remember to not eat the Play-Doh.
Yeah. It's a brand new thing, but they're lucky guys.
All still the same color.
I got.
Got it out. You have like a knife, do you need a knife?
Have tools.
Oh yeah, use the tool to scoop it out.
We're gonna start with so first of all, we're gonna start with the scissors. First of all, we're gonna make a circle, and then we're gonna start rolling over. And flatten it out.
How many sides does a circle have? Good job.
Great.
Does anybody have any other shapes that they think could be on a pizza? More circle? Like it's the great and thing.
Yeah.
All the shapes.
And we can just start creating some ingredients for whatever we want to You know? Ooh, that looks really good. Una pizza rosada. Ignorant. Yeah, exactly. You got it from the book. Nice. So, you guys are making perfect circles.
Okay, now who wants to start making my top? We can start making triangle
You guys wanna
toppings.
use vegetables or not? Well, the video, they have. We can start, so we can start making little circles. Because we're gonna be cutting them out.
What shape is usually your guys' pizza when you eat it? How many sides is that? Three. Anybody likes square pizza?
She's even the correct one is the video.
Beautiful.
Está muy bonita tu pizza.
You want us to make like Chinese?
Yes.
Ooh, that's
A
fun.
fancy ones.
I usually like some purple string cheese. But you need help with it.
¿Qué estás poniendo?
Anybody want to put a star or a heart on their pizza? So.
All right, so we're gonna proceed now And we're gonna cut it in half. So, por la mitad. So we can start making our slices. Para empezar a hacer. Oh, that's a cute one. Cut it in half. That's what you think of the video. There you go. And then again, and again. There you go. See, you have how many slices? 6? 5. Or 5, yeah. And we can make 6 of them.
So,
Oh, that's that looks really good.
what shape are you putting your pizza?
Trying.
Good job.
Can I eat it now?
Yes, but
No, it smells so yummy. Yeah.
okay, so after we are done with the second activity, the third activity will be we'll finalize this lesson with the worksheets. That we have.
It's actually really good.
I know, right?
That's a good do pizza.
With a little chat.
We see the pizza. Mine very pizza. Very nice.
Start both triangles.
They're very make a mess.
Very
Goodness, I know, she looks like a chef. I really wanna eat Samantha's.
I like your like crust that you. Guys, like that
Yeah.
stuffed crust.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so with the markers, I'm gonna do this activity. You guys can put your names. We'll clean up after. Mhm. So you can go. See, where's the triangle?
Oh, it's back to the.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
there you go.
Got the trace on the dotted lines.
You can find the
On the shape
triangle.
in the pizza.
It's straight, and you can find that. There you go. Muy bien, Dulce. ¿Dónde están los círculos?
How many sides does a square have? Three.
You were in front. Where are the squares in this circle? What shape is this? Oh. You want to use another color for that circle?
Yeah.
Alright.
Does the circle have curved edges or straight edges? Good job.
Oh, you can use.
Around here. Like, 'cause there's no straight line.
Muy bien, Dulce. No te sales de la línea.
It was beautiful. What's your favorite shape?
Muy bien.
Category with that.
Samantha's looks really good.
Now we're all hungry.
Yeah.
Take
A pizza party?
I went back to the gym and now. See, you have this book right there. Muy bien. Okay, so after we're done tracing, we'll check. Oh, I know, that's a beautiful Mandy. Yes. Okay, that means we're gonna start it now. He said that it was supposed to snow, but this is this one. Can you put the markers on this on the front? So I'm home, like, we were gonna send a, like, in the newsletter, so they can cook a pizza with the family and create it with real ingredients, but then they can, kind of talk about what. Then the plan starts. So,
You could just click the arrow, yeah.
almost.
It's not gonna show there. It's only gonna show, do you have notes that you need to see?
No,
Yeah, no, yeah, cause I have to drag it. It's like a 2-screen thing.
so the class of management, the transitions after the reading, I want to start to work with us on the table. The behavior management, positive reinforcement, engagement behavior, and helps children understand, the expectations. We will be the speakers, stands in our time, following some directions.
And the co-teaching model. Model, we will both work together to present the same lesson apart. We have a couple of English, language words, that's to be able to translate. But depending on what they understand. We've had some business with us to develop lessons that allow us to interact with everybody, all parts. But it's just translation. Then using the stations allow us to help our students smoothly into it. So we didn't use that.
That's okay, yeah.
Okay, so presentation and teaching, implementation, use simple and enthusiastic language to recognize immediately after the behavior occurs. This strategy helps children associate positive feedback with their actions. Small transitions engage children in the transition process, warn students ahead of time that transition is fun.
For reflection guide, The co-teaching model effectiveness stations, young children to the shorter attention spans. So rotating the positions helps students experience various structured activities, which can help maintain their interest, so that something's always going on, and not just sitting for long periods of time. The visual aids also help the children comprehend the sequence of events and visualize what we are doing in class. For the improvements, we still have to add this for after lesson. We said for maybe for after the playroom, find an activity that wasn't like a worksheet or something, like journal and written stuff about what they thought was fun or something like that. And for insights gained, we already knew that working together as a team could be beneficial for the class. It allowed us to work with everybody and have them all have a better understanding of the lesson, being able to go around and talk to them.
Yeah.
So will you have is it small group or is whole group? And they just go to
If it was different, it would have been like small group, like
Okay.
at first, because it's like what was, she was gonna take a group and do the pizza, I was gonna take a group and do the worksheets. And
Okay,
then we switched, but we'd all do the pizzas, the it's whole group.
right, okay, okay. Right, okay. Cool, thank you. All right, good job. Now we're the ECED. All right. Well, don't forget your extra time. Oh, okay. Good job. We're in the home stretch. I can't believe it. It's like weeks left. So today we did our final presentation. We're gonna talk about play-based learning, we think about play-based learning centers that are aligned with standards and the curriculum domains. We'll have time to talk about lesson plans, so have questions or want to look at them together. We can have- Here's your learning objectives. Okay. What is play? We're all early childhood educators, like a part of our life. We like live and breathe play. Right, and so there's a lot of debate though, right? Play is not always seen as a way of learning, right? Have we heard this? Have we had people in our lives tell us there's nothing going on? Play, yeah, no learning, just having fun. Which is certainly a part of play, right? Having fun. And so obviously this is a whole bunch of things that they might, right, that children might engage with. So, well, I'll show you a quote from Vivian Haley, but she's written many books about play, and so this is one book that I have of her child's work, and so essentially this idea that play is that's their job, right? Like young children should be playing, and we should be creating curriculum and experiences in classrooms that really engage in children in play. And in many ways, right? Because it's kind of a spectrum, right? It's not just let them run wild. Partially it's that, right? We want them, like, think about some of the curriculum approaches that you've all looked at. Right, so there's all these different kinds of play. We'll come back to that one. But right, so this idea and thinking about intentional ways to engage children in play in your classrooms, right? You can see that there's this continuum, right? So it's not just, I think when people think about play, right, what do you think, what are they thinking about? What's the thing that comes to mind? What are kids doing? They're just messing around, they're having fun, free play, right? But there's no like lessons happening, there's no intentional teaching, there's no right thought on the teacher and outcomes, like what might happen. And that's not always true, right? So you can create play-based experiences in your classrooms that are both free play, right? So you just let children do their thing and you watch and observe and you'll learn all kinds of things about your students, right? And you'll be able to see development, learning, right? But you can also, on this more educator directed side, right? You can be really thinking about and planning lessons that integrate play or use play-based experiences in really intentional ways where you're thinking about potential objectives, aligning with standards, right? So it doesn't have to be like one or the other, right? You can think about play in a really intentional way because we always, right, talk about intentional teaching and then everything we do, we want to ensure that we're doing it for a reason. And sometimes we want to just let kids be kids and let them just have free play and we learn from them. We are then the learners in that situation or the active learners. We're the ones taking notes. We're writing things down, right? Children are learning maybe in what might appear as a passive way, but think about all the things that they're learning through a play experience, right? What are some things? Just throw some stuff. What do we learn? What do children learn when they're playing? Wherever it might be. They're learning words, language, social cues are learning, yeah. Sharing emotion, so like conflict resolution, right? Think about all of our like curriculum domains that we've been talking about, right? Like what? So yeah, physical, right? If they're outside and there's a lot of, and they're on the playground, right? That kind of play, that physical play. Right, so these types of play, right? Right, so physical development, they're working on that. They're working on their social emotional skills, both in their ability to regulate their emotions and build strategies using communication, right? To deal with conflict. What else? Problem solving, so cognitive skills, cognitive development. Can learn social roles, right? Community roles, cultural roles, whatever it might be, right? Can act those things out. Then play. Yeah. What about content? The things that we need to teach about science, math, reading, writing, numbers. Yeah, they might be counting things. Yes. Just kind of run. It's always really like either a teacher or I don't know, mom, somebody learning this dynamics. Yeah. So like going back to like this idea of like roles, but yeah, maybe if you're playing teacher, right, you're teaching a lesson, or so there could be some, you're having your ABCs or. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's clear that play builds learning, there's lots of things happening. our role as an educator changes depending on the kind of play that might be happening, right? If it's a lot of physical play, maybe we're the safety police, right? We're just making sure that the space is safe, that they're being safe, right? So we're kind of the monitor of that kind of play versus thinking about intentional ways that we might want to engage children in play so that they're learning some objective that we need them to, right? Aligning it to some standard. Right, when we think about project approach, right? So what we were doing a couple of weeks ago, right? These ideas, like with building our dinner party, this is a very play-based idea, right? When you have a classroom, not like ours, restricted by desks, right? You can really create something that's really playful and really, right? It could be like a 10 play space, you could have the whole dinner party set up in your classroom, right? So it can become a very immersive experience. It's very centered around play, obviously aligned with standards. So the foreign teacher stuff, but it's still important, right? And so hopefully, you learned about the stages of play. Obviously, this varies, right? In your child development class, you probably saw something about this. So by the time, right, if you're in a classroom, your kids will likely be 4 or older, if you are maybe teaching at CPS or public school, preschool, 2nd grade. So here's this is so I just want you to take a minute and read this and then just like, what do you think? Children's education. Yeah. Other thoughts?
About creativity, children have like this creative and nice mind of how to resolve problems in the world. We can present them with real stuff and then they can come up with like, so many different ways.
Right, so I think, we often think of young children as not being abstract thinkers, and when we look at how they play and the imagination that they have and the creativity that you're seeing and the ways that they're thinking about setting up a play scenario, it's pretty abstract, right? I mean, it is certainly something beyond what, I don't know, we as adults now think of, right? And because our brains become so filled with other things that we need to know and do, right? We lose this like creative sense, right? And so it's really important that you as educators of young children don't lose that. And you tap into it because it's really important that you can think in a really creative way. You can think outside of the rigid way in which our adult brains often think, right? Because your children are thinking that way, your students are thinking that way. And it is this like first sense of reality, I think, right? It's a really thoughtful, critical way of thinking about all kinds of things, right? And so don't lose your creativity. There's any questions. Sometimes you don't know what to do. Right. Don't, always be curious, right? Always want to learn, always want to ask questions, think creatively. Don't, right? Like the metacognitive skills that we teach young children, we need to kind of reflect on them ourselves. Like, why do we feel like we're not good at drawing or whatever, right? Because we've like restricted ourselves to thinking in a certain way, right? To not being like, this kid doesn't care if this drawing looks crazy, right? My students don't care if I can't draw, right? all they see there is that someone's saying they can't do it, right? What they need to see is someone just doing it, and not mattering, right? That maybe you think it looks silly, right? But it's creating a sense of, right, like, you just do it, doesn't matter if it's bad, right? So I think like this metacognitive stuff, right, really reflect as educators, us really reflecting on the things that can't do well, and like really thinking about why that is, and trying to find ways to not think that way, especially for students, right? Because then they're also gonna start having some sense of what.
I'm sure that if they started walking with more kids and children, they
Yeah.
keep getting up and resting, you know? And then sometimes something happen, and I mean, we're already doing it, like, we can do it, but we don't keep trying.
Right.
This is like one example. Children get out, they get
Right.
they still like.
Right, so yeah, right, I think it's like these ideas that we use with young children and the ways we think about, we need to continue to be thinking that way in adulthood, because it's gonna be a reflection of you as a teacher, and your students are gonna see that, right? So it's really important that, you know, you wear your silly outfits and draw silly cats or whatever it is, right? Like, who cares? Because like that, they need to see that they can do anything, right? They can do anything, and they're not being judged or restricted. And it's hard because it takes a lot of unlearning as an adult, right, to be more playful, right? That's why we use worksheets, right? Because it's easy, because it's like, here's a thing that we can use, right? That's like, it's gonna be, you know, your students are gonna find it, right? They're not, they don't know. They're like, oh, this is fun, I'm gonna color this thing, right? But we know that there's other ways, right? To think about how to teach whatever it is we want to teach, or assess whatever it is that we want to assess in a way that is much more child-centered and developmentally appropriate. So we have to unlearn, right? And that's hard. It's just a hard thing to do, especially when we're adults, right? So get your unlearning on, be creative, draw your silly cats, whatever, you know. Okay, so now we're gonna think about play and the curriculum domain. So we're going to 3 groups. That should still work. There's 9. All right. So 3 groups. I'm gonna randomly just give you a paper with a content domain, with domain on it. But the domains are really gonna be reflective of content areas, so that's what we'll do. So you're gonna choose a theme related to your content area. You're gonna create some play-based activity that aligns with that theme. And you should be thinking about one other curriculum domain. We can use supplies in the cabinets too to create stuff. The key here somewhere. And so here's the full instructions, but I'm gonna show you example. So this is one that I just threw together today. So the grade is kindergarten. I chose math as part of the cognitive domain, so STEM related. So the standard I took was the top 4, represent addition and subtraction of objects. So my thing is grocery store, and my desired result is thinking about that children will build number sense and early operations. My objectives that children will use the grocery items to create and solve simple addition problems. I will have informally assess them. I'll use like a visual grocery list, so like bananas. And they will write down the item's name, because I'll be incorporating English language arts. And there'll be a price attached to this, right, as you're shopping. And then they'll have to add it up, right? So they'll have to do that. And so this will be like the grocery play area set up in my imaginary kindergarten classroom. It might just be like a little 2 shelves, I don't know, right? Like you work with what you got in your classroom. And so children will play just kind of informally and then, you know, they can just be in there in free play and you can then give them these things and say, I need you to buy these things for me, right? Or whatever it is. And so they'll be reminded, they'll check their grocery list, right? So then they'll keep playing, they'll write down their banana, $1, and then that session will end, right? They'll come back and small group and then review the kind of addition, the number operations piece, right, with the teacher. So ELA is the other domain that I'll have here. So language, typically when they're using obviously like writing. They can use invented spelling too, because they're in kindergarten, so they might not know how to spell a lot of things, but that's okay, because we just want them to start practicing. So that's also using motor, you know, right, they're using all kinds of things. So this is just a quick example of how you will hopefully be thinking about this activity. Oh, here's the slide. So yeah. And then we'll come back and we'll kind of just do this little reflection. Sound good? Okay. So yeah, so there's 9, so we can do 3 groups of 3. So I'm just gonna start dropping these in random places and then hopefully you all will figure out. Yeah, are you gonna just work in rows then? Yeah, okay, all right. Sorry, I walked all the way over here. There you go. All right, so look at your so it's someone has STEM, someone has social studies, someone has STEM, ELA. Right, so we think about those 3 domains, we think about the cognitive domain. I mean, they're all really cognitive domains, right? But according to the curriculum domains, STEM, cognition, social studies, obviously that's social domain, and then ELA is language domain. So, all right. I would start with your standards, right? And think about what grade you want to focus on. Find your standard. Think about the theme and the big takeaway you want your students to get. And then, yeah, there back to design, right? I'm gonna just leave the key in this cabinet. So you guys want to. There are ELA, STEM. There are some social studies supplies in these cabinets too. So. All right, so you guys start working. I'm gonna run to the restroom and then I'll come in and just back up.
Here. The other one, and they had to get outside, and then they had to, each kid had to explain why this one's better.
Well, kind of like a debate-ish. Because
Yeah.
like a debate.
Would that be the same?
Kind of like there's math too, right? Kind of.
What if we have like, it's like something. I think this one should apply then. But I don't think that's.
So. Yeah, okay, so this is a good question I should discuss as a group. So what constitutes play-based, right? So look at those slides a little bit, right, before that we're talking about the different kinds of play and that continuum of play and what those ideas about play are. Right, because there are certainly ones that are going to be more teacher directed. But I also, think about the project approach style of teaching, right, where you're really immersing children in some theme. And this can be one part of that, right? Does that make sense? Clear? Kind of. We'll see what we come up with. Yeah. So I'm like, so for yours, like think about project approach, right? So. That's all right. They didn't.
Yeah.
And so they had that involved putting different states. And sort of vote like they were voting on
Yes.
so those were like they were cooking. They vote for Oreo, they're whatever they get. Yeah. So then they actually, even though it's just two of them, right? Maybe voted that three of them voted. All these votes go to. So that's how they think about the electoral college, but obviously more fun, more play based, more just about this idea of like, so what is the just how it's right? Take care. To play on something like that. Talk about research. Somewhere. Yeah. Whatever. And then. Yeah. Pretend. Yeah. The person you choose to win to vote. The person for ballot, put in one sheet. So. That makes it like more play based. But you can incorporate all the person too.
With the ink is right. You don't have to push this.
What? I took it last in the spring.
What did you do 3 years ago? Standards? Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna sit over there so we can like, cause I think we're.
What's the play? About that far ahead yet?
Well, I mean, we have any science. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, just like,
Alright, everyone seems like they're on the right track. I'm thinking with play in mind. But get some questions.
Yeah. MSHEF.
That's true too. Yeah. Social studies. What else? You said MCH.
SHEF.
No, just. Yeah. Different classes. Sure. One person. One person. Threatening. For their voting, yeah. That's the job. At the time, like. Jobs. And then you have. Like, that could be like the vote. And then. Learn about so. Yeah. And then you like, that was your app. You're free to. What's the standard then? Like, that's what I want to do, is that they know that they have. Like, they have like a say.
Yeah, I actually we just did it. So the ever totally. Yeah. With like black. But yeah, it's hard to roll. Define what that it's not a they just tell us that. They participate in this activity, like they're able to tell us that they need a choice. Yeah. That they don't. You know, it could be really basic. Yeah, they know that like sometimes it's just like tell you versus like they're like also creative. Pick up a way to make it like a way to love. With just like this. With way some story. Like we could have them create kind of like the objects of together. Okay. That means that like the students still get to, that are voting still get to do. To retell and discuss. Okay, was that one for now? No, it's just kind of. I think it's a bit weird. Yeah. I'm still gonna leave it down. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to, review it. Would it be art and isn't there like a social emotional?
That one. Yes. When they vote, they like the.
If we can have them like fill out, like do it a journal or something. Like, but what they really-
So Dawn, how much time do we think we need? 5 minutes?
Like, so I'm-
We want it.
like they can have like a.
We're not feeling creative today, but sorry, so.
Wonderful. Anyone read the latest?
Like, they have like a journal in this journal they can describe. Like,
Yeah.
um, they can describe what the voting was, what they voted.
Oh, that's fine.
No, that's, yes.
Yeah. We have like children. Wow. And then what they
Yeah. Yeah. Right, so we'll done, almost done. I think. Equal quick break or snack. Post for- Yeah. You good? Stress is high. All right. Does anybody want to go first? Here.
Yeah.
You want to go? You wanna go?
Yep.
Okay, all right, you guys can go. All right, so what was your curriculum domain that you got? Okay, social studies, okay. Um, standard this is for kindergarten. Participate in voting as a way of making choices. So the theme was voting slash like election. And then our
Very
design,
relevant.
yeah. And then our desired result was children will understand that voting means that they have a choice. Our measurable objective is that children will define what it means to vote. And the informal assessment is that we would have like the students fill out a page in like their journal about what voting means and then what they voted for in the election. I mean, it was Chips Ahoy versus Oreos, so whatever cookie they think. It wasn't Kamala.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually.
It wasn't something hard.
No, it's cookies. And then it was hard to like, we didn't set like the layout of the space, but we just described it by like the class is holding an election. The students will get to cast their vote or their decision for what cookie they would choose, Oreos versus Chips Ahoy. We would have some of the students have classroom jobs while the other students vote. The students that are voting, we had for part of the play is that they would make their own voting folder that they would use to cover their vote so nobody else would see. So they would use that while they're voting, and then I guess that goes into how play would be facilitated. We had children will participate in class jobs for the election. The students that are voting will get to create their own voting folder, which they'll decorate using like crayons, colored pencils, whatever they want to put on there. And then the students that have the election jobs, we said we'd have one student that will be welcoming all the students into the room. Another student will be at the registration table checking the students' voting cards. We just give them little cards that have like their name on it. And then we'd have a student just like kind of standing at the voting booths or the folders and just walking or like up and down. And then the last student would be at like the ballot box that we made, and just to make sure that the kids drop their ballots in, and then we'd give them an I voted sticker. Lettering the list.
And then it was about the domains, how we have said about the folders and the journals. I had said it was the aesthetic with the art with the folders, and it was effective with social emotional when they're reflecting on what they in the journal.
On the last sentence. Children will feel included with their classmates using their folders divided when they make their choices. Children will also be able to reflect on the choices their classmates made during the election, voting process, and their writing journals.
I know, right?
You can also incorporate, right, like, so when you're counting, so then now, so you're thinking product approach, right? So they've done this thing and now someone has to count the ballots, right? So then now someone counts the ballots, then you could create a little graph, that shows, then you have a whole party map on, like, Oreos. How Chips Ahoy gonna be Oreos?
If they're not soft chips, soft chips are good. But I vote for Oreos. Soft chips.
Only a homemade chocolate.
I was gonna put specifically the Jewel chocolate chip cookies, and those would win, but I don't know how many kids would.
Awesome. Any thoughts or feedback or questions for this group? Any things you would do? Or add to this? Chris, we're looking like today. You're like, I'm so tired. Stop asking us questions. There was a time I was
But you know what? I mean, like, we kind of did like a lesson last semester in spring, but like with you, it's kind of like we don't feel like pressure. Like before, it was like I was doing the class and the lesson, and I told Olivia, it's like, oh my God, like I feel like like I'm really working with little kids, and like like comfortable.
great. I'd love to hear that. This would be this would be the most chill class.
Oh, it is definitely from what we have.
You can't be creative.
No.
You're feeling stressed out,
No.
right? You can't do those things. That's what we need to be doing.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So thank you.
wonderful. Thank you for being here with me all the time. I'm grateful. Great job. All right, you all are gonna go next. All right, tell us what you got with enthusiasm. Okay, level kindergarten. And our standard at actively engaging. Team and come up with information playground. And kind of like put the desired result together. So we said children will actively engage the creative setting, story, and their comprehension to retell and discuss the activity. Involving large building blocks, where children can develop teams and work together and teach them to be setting story and something up the scenes to help them. Yeah. So encourage playing the imagination playground with the materials, blocks, that props, and that props are provided to us. Story elements. Play fosters collaboration while flexible. And then we said another was social and emotional development, that where children develop communication by working together to interpret story, build confidence, and the interpersonal skills to share play, and then the play session will end and each group will describe the scene they created and stuff on how the scene they created affects the part of the sounds fun. And voting, we're just like recounting the scene in the book. Like the immersiveness of these experiences are so cool, right? I mean, like what is gonna want to do this? Just like I also think like drama, right? Like that could be another like aesthetic, right? Aesthetic domain and like drama. I don't know anything about drama standards, but but yeah, it's so cool. Just like create art. Watch a skill. See? There's like this there's this episode where it's called like the big art something. It's they all have to they all get like painted and put into like art, like giant frames like art that just sit still, like they become that art piece. It's just so cool. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. You know, like, and this is what it reminds me of. So, any thoughts or feedback, additions? So fun. I can't wait to come to all your classrooms. All right, good job. All right, please. Please, history. So we have our standards for math, social studies. So our theme is to create a restaurant. So where students will be able to go play jobs at the restaurant, like take orders. Also like after they take orders, they will be doing like bars, coloring balls until like 10. So to let the cook know how much and then at the end there's the delivery. We'll deliver the order and as well. So we're almost done. We're so close. Okay, so just going through it today. Including cognitive, social, and aesthetics. Those three things. Yeah. A restaurant is great. It's like a good, right? It's like, it's something children know. They likely been to a restaurant. Um,
But you know what?
we didn't have iPads.
The
so-
one thing you mentioned, like that store, like it's funny because like you just said that, like I used to take my 20-year-old son, like to the museum constantly.
Right.
But like now when you go to the children museum, you see the store, and and it's funny because even you see organic products.
Right.
So I took my kids last week to the one in Glenview.
Yeah.
And she said, so we tried to get 60% of our um chopped leaves organic, and then the rest like regular. So my son is like, oh, this is the one that we get a hope for. Oh, and this is the one you just need a 365. And I'm like, okay, dude. Like it was so funny because like the way that they have the activities,
Yeah.
but it was everything. It was salmon, and like
Yeah.
they already know what they eat, what is healthy, what not. So I guess like like now that I have like a big gap between my 20 and my 7,
Yeah.
I noticed that like literally to play,
Yeah.
or like kids follow everything, and it's funny like
Yeah, because it's very immersive, right?
Yes.
It like puts you in a real life situation. To practice just like being at a restaurant or voting,
yeah,
right? Like
like a mechanic.
Just-
They're changing tires. So.
Right, right. Yes, yeah. And so yeah, like that's what's so great about this. That it immerses children in real life experiences. Or it takes them outside of that into these like magical places, like like this group is right back here, thinking about like really creating and bringing stories to life, right? And that's really magical for young kids to do that, having opportunities to do those things in your class. So yeah, it's great. But you won't use these things. We'll fight against the system that is creating less play in our classrooms and functions. Take them to your fire pit this fall. Just use them for scrap paper. Take your notes.
So make fire pits.
Use them for kindling. Start. Yeah. Wrap your presents, your holiday gifts, your birthday gifts with. That would be
Can start like
Yeah,
even
the teacher
recycling
gifts,
and
yeah.
making something, creating something with
Yeah.
all these people.
You can make new, like have you ever made something?
So you know what we do? I guess, well,
You make
you're from Ecuador, so like I don't know if in Mexico, but we have a tradition at the end of the year. We actually create a man with like paper, like so we burn it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So we put clothes and like we just fill it out with paper and then we burn
burn.
it. Yeah, that's funny.
So there you go. Take all your worksheets, create a little man,
And burn
and
it.
burn it. It's a great way. It's a great way to start the new year.
Yes. A new beginning.
Yes. Okay, so let's do a few reflection points. So these last questions here. How does play-based learning support content learning? What challenges might arise and how might you address them? Support operation. Just choose one. Whatever supplies you your time.
5% like this learning. Like kids being upset that they don't get certain liquid or voting. Like, probably would have some kids upset like, oh wow, let's do this after we do that. So that's probably for those play-based when they like.
But not a problem, because we turn it into a teachable moment, right? And we, right, you pick from a hat, probably, right?
It's like the popsicle
And,
sticks.
or popsicle sticks, right? And, hopefully this is a routine that you've created already in your classroom, right? Like this idea that like we're all gonna not get to do the same thing all the time, right? because this is an important
Switch.
skill, right? And so, yeah. How do we teach them to relate their feelings about that? They'll have another turn probably at some point, something similar, but yeah. So, yeah. What else? It supports a lot of interaction. And just another years. Their social skills.
And they go to real life experience.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it very clearly is like content learning will align these things to standards, right? So these are standards, Illinois state standards that you're going to be teaching in your classroom. And so this is what children should be learning. And it's teaching them not just that content area, right? But also a very integrated way of teaching, which is what we want to strive for in early childhood. Think about integrated ways to continue to teach different subjects over time, right? So you might have depending on what grade you teach, right? You might have a particular time you're like teaching math, but you could also be teaching other things during that time. If you're teaching social studies, you can also be teaching math as part of that. Or when we're transitioning to line up using mathematical ideas and teaching math while we have line up, right? So always be thinking about the integrated content areas, how you can, be pulling those in all the time. How, when you transition, you're thinking about, right, having them do like center 355, but like use subitizing plates, right? So basically a plate with like 4 dots on it or 3, right? You make these plates and then you just like show them, right? We want you to see the number and then just tell me what it is without counting, right? You just do this and the kids line up, right? You're teaching them math. You're working on mathematical skills. So just always be thinking about the learning that can be happening. And as you do it, once you do it one time, it's easier. So, any other thoughts, questions? All right. Well, those are great. I love them. I want to see those in your classroom someday. Okay, so we have our lesson plans. We don't want to do this today. Want to do this today? Do it. Okay, so yeah, so we're just have some open time now. So if you want to pull up your lesson plans, if you want to talk with your neighbor about them, and I'm gonna just kind of like popcorn around and we'll talk about what we've got. And see if we're on track, or if we haven't started, we can start. All right, we could start it. Remember, right, to like go back here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you all have this on your. Can you all see this in your D2L? This thing? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you'll submit, I mean, you've submitted the assessments. This is the first one. Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is way better. So yeah, you should have this folder in one of your folders on D2L in our course. Mine is underneath the assignment guide. But anyway, so then you'll, you have is there like a thing to submit here? I can't. Have to go to a separate page. I just want to make sure there's a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay, so. You can submit it here. You can submit it here and on the assignment in tab in D12. Doesn't matter. I have to grade it. I mean, I'll put your grade for this assignment on D2L, obviously, but I have to submit the e-assessment score through this like watermark system. So you'll probably get some notification. Your grade might look slightly different in here versus in this one versus what your grade would be in D2L, just because sometimes the way the scoring works in here, it's like, it sometimes doesn't, because it uses the really strict rubric. So sometimes it doesn't let me adjust in watermark. Don't worry about that. Usually the grade. But you all are gonna ace this. It's gonna be totally fine. So you don't even need to worry about it, right? Right? With me? We're gonna do great. All right. I think this should all be updated. All the stuff that we talked about. The only thing you won't see here is the desired result because we don't actually use that idea with this insane lesson planning, right? But you know, just that. Yes, the templates here. Oh, I also updated the unit plan guideline. So hopefully that's like, because I know you were asking about a rubric, but were you asking about the capacity for the unit plan? Someone was
was
asking.
Olivia wasn't here.
No, Gladys, you were asking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I updated that too.
Yeah.
I forgot. So yeah, I updated this, so hopefully this is a little bit clearer. It's kind of like the point breakdown. So let me know. We can- All right, so yeah, this I think is. I hate this example. We don't use. It's okay. So yeah, so for the reflection piece of this, you can just reflect on kind of the planning process, right? Since you're not implementing this lesson plan. So. The reflection piece is not.
Oh my God.
Alright.
This is the only like challenge. That they never do, like.
I think it needs to be, yeah,
Something.
I'm not updated one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, you're okay.
I'm good at some students. Yeah, okay.
Before you all get like really sucked in, I just wanna just check in about like what's coming up. You Keep working or if you wanna look at all. share. Okay, so next week, we're gonna talk about engaging families and communities. We're gonna talk about anti-bias education and social justice standards. So this will be, yeah, final review of lesson plans. What we do today. See, we'll see how. Yeah, we're stretch. So next week we'll be here, week 14, along with the quiz, and then unit plans. The last day. That shall be your presentation. So I did update that assignment guideline to better reflect a rubric and hopefully clarify some sections. So just make sure you look at that. Cool. Any questions? Next, when, yeah, when, it's due, yeah. Let me look at this one. What do you guys think of the book for this? Because I know you read it.
Not the whole thing, they started at the beginning.
Page one, I was page one. I liked it. You liked it. The cover really drew me in.
At least I
I'm thinking of switching them. Yeah, so right now it's due Wednesday, the 20th. We want to make it Friday, 22nd. Okay.
Thank you.
Send me your drafts.
You can read the examples with the red stuff, right, when you're
Yeah, the
writing
red
it?
ones, yeah.
And the
Okay,
little
all right, well,
examples, right?
you can continue working here and I'll stick around if you have questions about the lesson, or you can, if you're fried today and you just want to like get me out of here, that's fine too. So whatever you need to keep you sane, your brain functioning at the appropriate. See you next week. It's the one that you just have a result. That's you're the one you're working with.
Yeah.
Someone's turning down.
I know.
We're gonna, we're playing cookies.
I saw this already. This Saturday, and he said, I want to go, I don't want to stay in.
Wait, where is
this. I don't know. Well, he has a-
I'm sorry, I'm looking.
So.
Have to learn somehow, right? You know?
That's the question. So, yeah, so it is in the root, right? Yes. Yeah, so. Story that one of that's the thing. Really.